Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are the Women's Council of Realtors of Collin County, where our mission is to create leaders in the real estate industry. We're powered by the difference, and that is kind of our mantra. We're here to make a difference. So today, my co-host is JC Pitt of Pitt Realty, and we are also joined by Carrie Steele with Little Hearts of Hope. And we're hoping to be joined by Brian, who has having a little technical difficulties, but we hope to have him back on the show here in just a few minutes. So if we can get started, I'm ready. Hey, everybody.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Carrie Steele, who is the founder of Little Hearts of Hope. So I'm going to go ahead and let Carrie introduce herself and kind of tell us a little bit about your business.
I'd love to. Thanks. My name's Carrie Steele. I'm the founder and executive director of Little Hearts of Hope. We support children age 4 to 14 who have a parent or sibling undergoing cancer treatments. And we do that through our Hope Package program. Once a month for a year, our kiddos get a Hope package from us in the mail. Every package is a different emotion that's common for kids who are experiencing a medical crisis like this in the home. And we teach healthy coping skills through creative expression. And that includes play therapy type activities, art therapy type activities. And it helps parents and families talk about hard topics that are going to come up in cancer treatments. Hopefully building trust to have those conversations, teaching emotional intelligence to especially the younger kiddos who don't quite yet have a vocabulary for some of the emotions and they don't know how to explain what they're feeling. And then we're a faith-based organization, so we also share what the Word of God says about our emotions and just really encouraging kids that even the emotions that are typically seen as negative are God-given emotions, and it's what we do with those emotions, how we act on them, that can be good or bad, not the emotions themselves.
Right. It's and we've done some packing parties with another networking group that I've done, and we've met and I think we've met 3 times now where we've packed lots and lots of bags and with different activities and different things that support these kids that just really don't understand why they're feeling the way they feel. And it teaches them how, like you said, how to cope with their emotions and their frustrations and their anger and, all of the, the different things that people go through in this type of cycle. So how did you get into this? Tell us how you got into this.
Well, I got into this sort of kicking and screaming. My husband, at the age of 32, was diagnosed with a rare and terminal cancer. Our kids were 2, 4, and 6 when he was diagnosed. And we were fortunate enough to be able to put the kids into counseling. Not everyone has that availability. He ended up passing away on Christmas Eve of 2012. And I took about a year to sort of decompress and figure out where to go from there. And I was spending some time fasting and praying and trying to figure out how am I going to lead my family. And I got this vision for this program. But I worked in cardiac rehab prior to having kids. The nonprofit sector was not anywhere in my wheelhouse. So I brought it to another nonprofit and said, hey, I know you guys do cancer support. I think this is a great idea to support kids. I would have loved something like this for my own children. And they said, oh, that's great. How about you run it? And I was like, whoa, no, that's not what this was about. But I decided at that point, the worst thing I could have imagined has happened. Why not give it a try? It's not going to hurt anything to see where it goes. And so I did that. And within just a couple of months, it became very clear that it was going to be its own nonprofit. We had a waiting list of kids and the fundraising was going well. And so we launched it as its own nonprofit. We became a 501c3 in August of 2014 and have been serving about 100 kids a month.
Wow. Wow. You're doing 100 kids a month now?
Yes.
Wow.
And have been for the last few years. It's grown very organically. People tell other families in their, infusion clinics or in hospitals, and they reach out. Facebook groups are a really good network for our families, and they find us. And if we have an opening, we keep adding kids. There's definitely not a shortage of families needing our services, and it just keeps increasing.
And it's so unfortunate too that there's so many kids out there that are struggling that don't know about you and your foundation, so that they can get the same help. It's just, that's why when I met you in that networking group, I just wanted to tell everybody, you gotta, if you know anybody, you gotta reach out to her, because it's just so many times those kids get forgotten because you're so focused on the patient that the kids kind of sometimes get lost in there, and people don't realize that they have so many emotions and so many feelings, and they don't know how to deal with them because they're young.
Well, the thing that surprised me so much with my own children was I didn't want to give them too much information. I wanted to protect them. And their therapist actually said to me, at this age in development, if you don't tell them what's going on, they're going to make up something. It's not going to make sense. It's going to have to do with how they could have prevented it, how they can help, what they should have done, what they shouldn't do. And so you have to be very open and honest with kids, age appropriately, but they do need the truth. And I have a lot of families who will enter the program and say, I'm having surgery next week and we haven't told the kids yet, and I'm going to be gone for 3 months. Or can you talk to my kids? And I'm like, that's definitely not what we do. We want to build trust and help you guys have hard conversations together. We just give you the tools that you need to do that. One of the really neat things about the feedback that we have gotten is a lot of the parents say, I really needed to hear that. I forgot that in my own emotions and my own crisis. So little did we know, we thought we were helping kiddos, but we're also serving parents.
Right. Because some people don't realize the emotions that you will go through in that kind of situation.
Yeah, that's true. But you're spot on, Carrie, with regards to these healthy kiddos, or what we call them, really do get left behind. Because if you think about, if you have a spouse who is going through cancer treatments, the other spouse is trying to be their caretaker and the parent, and probably working full time to maintain insurance. So there's not a lot of free time for those healthy kids who seemingly don't have needs, because kids are really resilient and they'll keep it in. And then if you look at it from the standpoint of if a child has cancer, if we're serving, siblings, then one parent is working for insurance and the other parent is at the hospital with that child because they can't be left alone. And so those kids get shifted around to family and to friends, grandparents, and a lot of people don't know what to say or what to do. And so they'll tend to not say anything, and the kids don't have anybody to talk to during that time period.
And like you said, they start making up what's going on, and probably what they're making up in their head is so far from what is actually happening.
Right. We had one family who it was a sibling. He was playing like those Tonka trucks. They were playing one day, and the healthy child pushed the Tonka truck into the kid's leg, not on purpose, on accident. They were playing, roughhousing. And then the next week, that child got diagnosed with cancer. And this poor kid thought he caused his siblings cancer because of the Tonka truck hitting his leg.
Awful thing to live with.
Mm-hmm. Right? So these are the conversations we need to be having with kids. We need education for parents to know what to say and how to say it age appropriately. We need education for our teachers to know how to help students who are in the classrooms who have this going on at home. I think one of the great things about COVID is we've really highlighted the need for better mental health availability, making it more cost effective, more reasonable for families to be able to access it, for insurances to cover it. It's a tricky little world out there, and everybody's doing the best they can. And we just want to come in and say, here's some tools to help you on your journey.
Right. And it's got to be super helpful for the others. If it's a spouse and it's the other spouse, or even if it is a kid, just to have some structure for that parent that's trying to be the caretaker and the spouse.
Everything.
The breadwinner.
Just to have something where they don't have to think about, okay, what am I going to tell the kids, or what can I do to, and spend hours researching how to take care of their kids, their healthy kids. This just kind of gives them an avenue where they can just kind of have a template of, okay, you don't have to think about this today. Let us help you and give you this, and then they can go on with it.
Yeah, and that's why we do the Hope packages the way we do. We have a parent letter that kind of talks about, hey, this is really common. Here's what you might see behavior-wise from your child if they're struggling with this right now. We give instructions for the 2 activities. We send all of the materials they need to do those activities, because we don't want parents to have to add a grocery trip or a Walmart or Target trip to go get what they need to do it. A lot of these activities our families do, they bring in their big purple envelope to the hospital and will do with their loved one in the hospital. So it's sort of a family activity. It's very, very easy I specifically made the packages to be able to take anywhere and to do with anyone in your family.
So where do you get the ideas or the activities? Do you come up with it yourself? Do you work with a therapist that helps you kind of know what to do, or how do you?
Yeah. So early on, when I was sort of developing the program, I had a vague idea of what my own children went through. But I met with the social worker that was working with us in hospice, and my children's play therapist, and then the school counselor up at their elementary school. And I said, here's my idea. I would love to get your feedback. And so we kind of tweaked it from there with regards to what emotions we were going to highlight. And then some of the activities that my children had done in play therapy. Some of the stuff, it wasn't something that you could fit in an envelope and mail. It wasn't practical. Right. And so just working with them to kind of say, here are some things that I found. Here are some things that we did at home. Here are some things my kids did in therapy, and kind of put it together that way.
And I know when we've done the packing parties, it's not just, I want to make sure everybody understands that it's not just stickers and coloring books and crayons and balloons. It's actual, a letter to the parents that says, this is what you're going through. We understand it. This is what, the activities, and they explain it. And there's so many things in there that are emotion specific, so that the kids can, they're actually getting value out of it. They're not just getting a random coloring book or, something like that in the mail.
Yeah, we do work with some other nonprofits that do therapeutic art books. For example, our anger package, it's one of my favorite packages because we send them a target, a laminated target that they can put anywhere, and then those bunch of balloons where you can blow up 100 balloons at one time in like 10 seconds, and a Sharpie marker. And they write things that they're angry about, and then they throw the water balloons at the target. So anger is one of those emotions where you need a physical release. Mm-hmm. So instead of punching your sibling or getting into a fight at school, here's a really fun outlet to get rid of your anger. And then also, it's a great way for parents to know what's going on with their kids, because your child's not going to come up to you and say, here are the things that I'm angry about.
Right.
But if you are doing water balloons with them and you can see they're really angry that they missed the birthday party because the person, their loved one, their sick loved one had to go to the hospital. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that being a big deal. So it gives you insight into what's going on with your child.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful because, like you said, a lot of times they don't tell you, and it could be something so small that you would never think of it. And here you put it on a balloon and you throw it at the wall and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were that upset about that. Or let me fix that so that doesn't happen again. Or it makes you more aware of the problems that they are having because they're going to be, I don't want to say dumbed down, but they're going to be so much on a smaller level than.
Right, it's not life and death. You're so focused on that sick person. It's life and death decisions. And so it does seem rather trivial in the moment, but it's not to your child.
It's to your kid, yeah. It's not to your child.
And so that's what we really want to focus on is helping those kids learn healthy ways to process those emotions. And ideally, right, if we learn healthy coping skills as children, we'll have healthy coping skills as adults. Right. We all need coping skills. But if nobody teaches you.
I mean, you may need to send me a target.
Yeah.
I
want a target.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I may make me one.
Yeah. No, my kids ask all the time.
I bet Brian could use those too in his business.
You know it. All day.
Maybe I'll do that on the side to raise money for the packages. I'll sell targets and balloons.
Ask the kids, and you need to do it for adults. I wouldn't even pay for it.
Yeah.
There's a room in Denton, and you can go and you can throw axes at the wall, or you can bust bottles on the wall. My sister and I went and did that one time, and it is seriously therapeutic.
Really?
Wow.
Just going and just busting bottles against a concrete wall with, you've got your goggles on and your thing on. And
who would have thought of that as a business model?
I know.
Amazing.
They should
Great
be everywhere.
business.
Yeah, they're hard to get into. That's
wow.
The scary thing is they were hard to get into. It took forever to get us an appointment.
Wow. Well, it just goes to show how much, everybody needs ways to cope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
and
now
to relieve stress
with what those kids are going through, and on top of that, we've got COVID.
Right.
So I mean, it's just, I feel sorry. I mean, it's just a mess right now.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. The isolation for our families has definitely been one of the big prayer requests that we get in from them, just because, they have to be extra careful. They already were immune compromised. And then when you throw in something like COVID, the kids, can't do a lot of things that they normally would do because the kids being exposed to things and bringing it home. A lot of these families are still in in isolation, whatever we want to call it, not back in their sports, not back at school, doing online school. And there's really no relief, no break. But we're thrilled that we can give them something to look forward to and getting the packages every month. Kids love getting mail.
Yes.
We love getting mail. That's not bills, right?
Right.
Fun packages.
Bills and junk mail.
Yeah.
So how can we help you? I know you and I have a packing party scheduled for the 14th of October.
The 14th, we do, yeah. We have supply drives that we need help with. We need people to host supply drives. We have a fundraiser going on throughout the month of October. With any $20 donation, we're going to send you a Little Hearts of Hope calendar. The calendar has artwork that kids and families who support our program have submitted for our virtual art gallery, which is on our website. We've turned the artwork into a beautiful calendar. So that is our big fundraiser right now. We need monthly sponsors. We need help getting the word out to families who we can serve. We do have openings this month and next month. We'd love to close those openings up with families that need us.
Can you limit the number that you can help at a time?
Yeah, so 100 is our number. But because it's a revolving door, kids are in the program for a year. As soon as some drop off, then we have openings the next month. So it's right now it has been pretty sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, and I think do you have an Amazon wish list, or did you just send me some stuff through Amazon that you needed?
We do have an Amazon wish list. I have been struggling to find out how to share that. It's a little bit quirky. So, but I can get that and share that with you.
Yeah, if you'll send me that, we'll post it on our Women's Council of Realtors website or our Facebook page, along with the calendar information.
Yeah, I'll get both of those to you. Thanks, Carrie.
I did see the email about the calendar, and I need to get one ordered so that I can, or get it done so I can get a calendar for sure. It was super cute. There's nothing better.
Yeah, it's some fun artwork in there.
Yeah, I love the artwork for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Just highlighting that we serve kids age 4 to 14 who have a parent or a sibling going through cancer treatments. We don't actually serve kids with cancer, just the siblings. And then 4 is really our starting point developmentally for them to be able to understand some of the things that we're sending. And then 14 is our top end, just because once they become teenagers, it's a different ballgame. We would
emotions.
Very different. And so we don't have a program developed yet for teens, but it's in the vision. We also are looking, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're also always looking for board members with different areas of expertise who have a passion for this type of work. If anybody's interested in serving on the board, I'd love to talk to them about that.
And what are the qualifications of somebody serving on your board?
Yeah, it's really just to have passion for hurting kids. And it's a year-long commitment. And we're small. I run this from my home, so we don't have a whole lot of, parameters. But the number one thing is, you want to use the gifts that you have to help these kids and their families.
Yeah, for sure. Now I forgot my question.
There's Brian. He's back.
I'm back.
We lost you.
Okay, well, you're welcome to stay on the podcast and listen in for the second half. We're going to interview Brian Brush, or if you've got more pressing matters, you're free to go.
I'd love to stay.
Okay. Well, JC, I'm going to let you take over now, and let you talk. We can talk to Brian.
All right. Hi, Brian. You're with Mortgage Advisors of America?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I get that right? Awesome. Can you tell us how you got into your career, how long you've been there, and what your hot button of the month is? Do you have a new program for us, or what do you got going on?
Well, no, I've been in the business north of 20 years, and I started Mortgage Advisors of America. It's a mortgage brokerage to allow borrowers the true transparency of lending and taking the politics and the padded margins that you're seeing with all the local lenders out there that are mortgage banks that don't have to disclose fees and what they're making on the back end. So what I like to do is keep a competitive market. And then secondly, a lot of lenders out there, they have their own system that they believe in, but unfortunately are never open to taking advice on maybe changing way they do something to speed up a process so it doesn't inconvenience others. And we close loans in 14 days pretty easily.
Wow.
Despite COVID and all that, we haven't had any setbacks. But what I have found is that in today's world, there's just so much misinformation out there on lending standards, the difference between a broker and a mortgage banker, and then a bank. I mean, there's just so much out there that I think people and realtors don't know, that the future is about the broker. It's what the client truly needs. They need that advocate to present their file to multiple lenders to negotiate the best possible deal for them. And that's why I got into it. I was tired of 6 layers of management, everybody getting a piece of the pie, and then all of a sudden you have a 450 basis point margin built in on conventional loans, and
Wow.
wondering why people can beat you on rate by so much. And then, on the government financing, it makes a whole world of difference. And we're not stuck to one set of guidelines. We have 62 different people we can work with, and just giving people the transparency that I think they deserve, and letting them know we are a for-profit entity. I mean, I'm here to make a living, just like everybody shows up to their job to make a living. So I'm not fooling anybody by saying I'm doing anything for free or giving them anything for free, but I will give them true, transparent advice, and that the result will be pretty amazing for them. And you can read the reviews on us. We have all 5-star, and it's because we consistently deliver and do the right thing. And it's the small things in my world that count. It's constantly creating those micro habits and doing them over and over again, and then you see the final result. And I know the final result is usually out there for people. That's what people notice, and they never see what the steps it took before, and all those little micro steps and habits you were creating on a consistent basis. And on another note, I mean, just to kind of give you a rundown of me in general, I'm actually a recovering compulsive gambler. And I've been in recovery for over 2.5 years, and I am very much in touch with my inner soul, and I like to connect with people on a level greater than just a transaction. So when everything comes down to it, for me, I realize that these are feelings. And listening to the lady about children, and learning how to divert emotion, and it's not feeling it isn't wrong, it's how you react to it. And using those tools in daily life for me has been life changing. It's made my relationships stronger. It's also allowed me to see relationships that weren't so strong, that why keep putting the effort and time into something that's just not going to have a reciprocal effect. And in doing so, it's allowed me to be overly honest, overly raw, just true authenticity. And I don't hide anything. I just I'm a walking billboard. I believe in my story. I believe in everybody's story, and I love helping people. I love getting them to where they're looking to go. A lot of times it's just showing them that, it's just a few more steps, and giving them the courage and the motivation to do so. And I found putting that into my business catapulted to levels I never thought would even be possible. And it's God's work. It's a blessing. And, a lot of people are like, why do you share so much about yourself? Well, because you're not going to have to guess. What you see is what you get. And I don't have to hide anything. I don't have to look like, a GQ model. And I sure as heck don't have to act like I'm the smartest guy in the room. I listen. I want to know what's going on, and I want to help find solutions. And the minute I did that, put that back into my family, I noticed big changes there as well. I noticed a better communication with my children. Whereas instead of always being a disciplinarian, I can actually sit and listen. And when I feel something like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my daughter kissed a guy, and I'm all pissed off, instead of reacting, saying, what the hell did you do that for? You know, I can listen and say, I don't agree with that. And this is how it makes me feel. However, in the end all, you have to experience your own hurdles, your own obstacles, and I just want you to know I'm here to support you. And that's me in a nutshell. And in terms of programs, products, I mean, there's so much out there. So if you all have like questions or anything, I'm more than happy to answer them, especially with dealing with COVID overlays that you hear a lot of, or that the multiple offers. I have not been affected tremendously by these multiple offers on homes, because I'm allowing my clients to go in with 14-day closes, so they can take a cash offer that has a 30-day or 3-week close, and they're coming in at 14 days. Well, you're not going to miss too much of the market inside of 2 weeks, when a financing contingency is 7 to 10 days, and most of the time financing contingency is 14 days. But if you look at a cash buyer's contract, a lot of times they're doing a minimum of a 10-day option. And you can get an inspection in 48 hours. So these are things that I find communicating with my realtor partners and people in the transaction, there's a way to win, and there's a way for your client to not just have to super overpay, but overpay by performance as opposed to dollars. And in doing so, I think it opens up a whole another stream of business, because you're not sitting there having to write up 30 different offers thinking it's a price game. And our world is whacked right now. I mean,
that's crazy.
People are having a hard time communicating with each other since COVID. You've been locked up in a house for a year, or wearing a mask. You can't see people's facial expressions. You can't give somebody a hug, shake their hand. Families are separated. I mean, it's awful. I didn't conform to the total COVID, restrictions. I still went into my office. I took my precautions. I did get my vaccine. But I know with myself, dealing with my own emotional disorder as a compulsive gambler and depression, I know that nothing good happens for me locked in a room.
Right.
My thoughts go crazy. My mind goes crazy. So for me, I didn't want to be jailed in my own mind. I'd take the risk, and I did have COVID, and I was grateful to get through it very easily. But these are things that our world is having a very hard time getting back into the mix. And I think from a real estate side, you're seeing people overly emotionally react to situations. I got to buy this house. I got to pay this much more for it. I got to do this. I got to do that. And that's great if you're the listing agent. But what about when you're representing that buyer? Are you doing the right thing by them by allowing them to pay such an exorbitant amount over purchase price? Or is there a presentation that can be given with the offer that allows you the ability to not just have to overbid, but just overperform and make it happen for them? Because these people are getting frustrated.
Yeah.
They say, I put in 10 offers and nothing. I'm just going to go rent. Well, the rental market's the same thing. If anybody looks
it's
at
harder to get a
multiple
rental
offers for rentals. Yes.
So, there's just a myriad of opportunities out there. And I think just grinding right back down to your core and your soul is what is going to attract the people to you and allow you to flourish, because it's not about the transaction. It's about what you're giving back and what the end result is. And for me, that's making dreams come true. And I think that's very true for all realtors as well. I just think sometimes we forget about it in our day to day, because there are emotional aspects of a transaction that come into play. And I do believe that reacting to them in a calm, cool, professional manner.
Can you still hear us, Brian?
Can you hear us?
Yes,
There
can
we
you hear
go.
me?
Yes. Now we can.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
My
okay.
phone
You were
was
out for
ringing.
a second.
But yeah, I can answer any questions you all have. I mean, just shoot away, and nothing will ever embarrass me or make me feel uncomfortable. So any question whatsoever, ask, and I shall give you the best possible answer I can give you.
Well, I did want to comment on the 14-day close. It's amazing. Before COVID, we were running around with earnest money checks. We were running around with option money checks. We had 30 to 45-day closes on a good file. And then COVID hit, and now I don't take any checks anywhere. I don't take anything. I don't have to go to any title companies till the day of closing, if I get to go then.
Right.
And you're closing in 14 days. You know, it's just
That's amazing
how the transition of this business has been. It looks so different than it did 18 months ago.
Oh,
so much better. So much better. Yeah. Well, and you've been in it for 20 years, so you've seen a lot of transitions.
Oh, I went through the 08 crash. I mean, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
And you know, and we're big on technology, and that's where everything's going. You know, you hear about the Rocket Mortgage. You know, I'm signed up with them. I don't use them, but I've got the same technology that they have. I don't have to ask a client if they're W-2'd and have pay stubs. I can do an E-Verify, and you know, they don't have to gather all that documentation.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So we're not in an archaic way of doing business. Now, probably 50% of the companies out there are still very archaic. I mean, they have a website, but they're not allowing the digital way of mortgage happen. And I think the reason for that is it's really hard to make change with any bit of change. There's got to be some pain.
Right.
And for me, I decided to take that pain early on and make the necessary changes. And, you know, it allows, you know, my clients to really win. I mean, we're still doing rates in the 2s. I'm doing 15-year at 199.
And, wow. That's,
you know,
great.
so many people just don't even have the ability to offer it.
Right.
And, I look at it and just count my blessings. And same thing with realtors. I mean, they're getting evolutionized. I mean, you're getting a lot more internet, less face-to-face. Some people are doing FaceTime tours
all the
and
time
stuff with clients. And, you know, it's just we're constantly changing. And I think the best way to handle change and what pain comes with change before we see that major outcome is great communication and working with each other and helping each other through the different processes that can you know, make a difference.
Right.
That's great about the e-file, because that's one of the biggest complaints I hear is, oh my gosh, they're asking me for this pay stubs again and again. Why do they keep asking me for this? And I'm like, just go with the pain. Don't complain, just do it. But that's awesome that you can do that. I do have a question. Now with COVID and everybody working from home, a lot of people can move wherever they want, right?
Yes.
So I have a family that moved here from New Hampshire. They are originally from Mexico, and they now are wanting to move their parents that are aging here. And she asked me, I had lunch with her last week, and one of the things she asked was, how do I buy my parents a house, or how can my parents buy a house here? They're not citizens and they don't have a credit score here. Do you have any answers for me on that one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So first off, the easiest way is if the children are wanting to buy and contribute to the parents getting a home here within the U.S., they can buy it as a primary residence for a child or an elder,
Wow, I didn't know that.
grandparent,
Okay.
etc. And they would qualify. You don't need their income. Now they can go on title. They can go on the loan if they have no score. It's probably going to be a little difficult to get the best possible rate and term because I'm a big fan of conventional. I only go FHA if it really makes sense and credit scores below that 680 mark. The rate's so much better and the MI is about the same. It's just, you have the upfront, but it's rolled in. So I'm all about numbers. I break it down to see what's going to be the best option for people. But yeah, and then you have a foreign national program, 20% down. They don't need to be a citizen. It's all trade lines. So there's a lot out there for that. And DACA borrowers are allowed now.
That's wonderful because I told her where there's a will, there's a way. So we will figure it out. And and she had mentioned, could her dad give her the money? So I said, well, I'll just find somebody and I'll just let you talk to them. So I think she needs to talk to you. So y'all can figure it out. So
perfect.
Yeah. Carrie, do you have any questions?
How many kids do you have?
3.
And how old are they?
Oh, my 21-year-old works for me. I brought him into the...
Yes.
Yeah. And then I have a 17 about to be 18. She's going to Arkansas next year. And then I have a 14-year-old who's finishing 8th grade, going into high school. And we're debating on Ursuline or, what in terms of what she's going to do for high school.
That's amazing.
I'm on the tail end. I'm going to re-honeymoon again here in about 4 years.
I know.
Hold your breath. I got 2 years empty nest, and now I'm raising my grandson. I started kindergarten again this year, so enjoy the time you get. You never know what will happen.
Yep. Yeah. Mine are grown and gone. Now when they come home, I'm like,
when you leave
I've got 3 in high school right now, and I'm like, come on, let's go.
That was my question for you. How old are your kids now? I forgot to. That was the one.
I have 14, 16, and 17. Wow. I have a freshman, a junior. I'm sorry?
You're almost just like Brian. Yeah.
My 17-year-old is almost 18. She'll be 18 in December. She's a senior, and then I have a junior and a freshman.
Wow.
And the countdown is on. I'm feeling that separation, and it's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would be. I thought I would be devastated when my boys left, but
I did too.
I was sad. Cutting the apron strings is hard, but they both were really independent, and they went out and they both joined the Navy, and one's still in the Navy and one's out now.
That's
but
great.
They were completely self-sufficient from the time they were 18. So
now they just want to come home and borrow her new baby.
Yeah.
The car.
Her
gorgeous Mustang. Yeah. She has one of those fancy Mustangs.
It's fast and loud.
Would you have thought that about Carrie? No. Carrie, we need to race. I've got an LC. Yeah.
Well, when we went to get that car, I was actually going to look at a Honda Accord. That was what I was going to look at.
No way.
And I was like, oh, this isn't really because I had a Ford Edge. So I said, let's go over to the Ford dealership. We'll look at the Fusions. And the Fusions were parked here and the Mustangs were parked here. And I was like, oh, can I just sit in one? Oh, yes.
Of course.
Yes. Let me get the keys for you. And that I never even drove a Fusion. I never looked at one. I never drove one. As soon as he turned that car on, I was like,
it sounds so good, right? Yes. My husband and I were looking at an LS. And like you said, they know where to park them.
Yep.
And we both looked at that and said, can we just drive it? Done. We drove it. We took it home.
And when you open, it was almost dark. And when you open the door, it shines a Mustang down on the ground. I was like,
Yes.
we are so sold.
That's
Let's
funny.
wrap this up. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta have it. Wow. Brian, I really appreciate your transparency. That would be hard to tell everybody probably at first, but now you just roll it out, and it's amazing that so many people have their different things that you would never know. I would have never known that about you, but I so appreciate you sharing it, because there's a lot of people who have different addictions, different problems. It's just who we are now. So
Yeah,
thank
no,
you for sharing. Yes.
it's definitely true. Like I always say, I don't judge a single soul because I never know what they're going through.
Yep.
I can just say, when I learn to live my life one day at a time and give up control of just, everything to my higher power, for me, it worked, and I don't get stressed. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. If something doesn't work out, listen, if a borrower's dead wrong and they feel like they shouldn't have had to pay a $900 appraisal, I just refund it to them, because it's not even worth having the
It's not
negative
worth
energy
it.
in your life.
That is so true. That
And
is.
in doing so, it's amazing how much more people want to do business with you, and you don't have to be the perfect human being. And that's what I'm just trying to get out to even my employees. Listen, I don't care if you make a mistake. What I care is if you cover up a mistake.
Yeah. Own the
Raise your
mistake.
hand,
Yeah.
own it. Whatever
Mhm.
that mistake is, we make right by it. We do the
Right.
right thing. And I tell everybody, just remember, do the next best right thing. And if you do that, then life's simple. And all those little wins compound together and they become huge successes. And it's about having that patience. And
Well, and the reality is everybody's dealing with something because life is hard.
It is.
I read this book called Atomic Habits. I recommend it to
I
y'all.
heard of that. Yes.
Let me tell you. Think about it this way. You go into the gym and you see the guy with the six pack and he's all, muscled up, looking real good, and he spends, 6 hours a day in that gym. He's got just as many demons in him
Mhm.
as the guy who's, like me, 260 pounds, walking into the gym, just trying to stay on the treadmill for a few minutes to create a new
Mhm.
habit and a new way of living.
Yeah.
And there's really no difference. It's just that he took his out on something that is looked upon as a healthy choice. I took some of my emotional stuff out
Mhm.
on what appears to be an unhealthy choice. And that's why when I look at an alcoholic, or I look at somebody who's struggling with drugs, or
Mhm.
whatever it is, I've got to understand that that person is still a true person,
Yeah.
and they're just battling some sort of demon. And once that's arrested, and once you take that poor habit out and create a better habit and a better outlet, it's just like your nonprofit. I mean, these
Mhm.
kids, they're going through so much stuff. I mean, even the kids in school, I mean, they're nasty, and Facebook is crude. Everybody wants to talk about how wonderful they are as a parent and how beautiful their family is, how perfect the world is, and it's not even realistic. You got to
Mhm.
live life on life's terms and understand that all that's smoke and mirrors. And even though we have to do Facebook marketing in our business, in realtors businesses, and we have to bring some positive vibes, for me, my marketing comes out with the true transparency and breaking down my true authenticity, because no people have a very hard time doing that, because who wants to be wrong and who wants to be imperfect? But
Right.
I'm not God. I can't control the outcome of any other person. I can just control me and my decision today.
That's exactly the truth. That yes, and I think it's so cool that Carrie and Brian both have such a passion for what they do, and we're on the show together at the same time, just by accident.
It was meant to be.
Yeah,
It's
She was
never
actually
by accident.
right,
God puts people
right.
things
together
happen
for
a
a
reason.
reason.
Yes, and
Believe
just
me,
hearing.
I look forward to speaking with you again, Carrie, because I'd like to help support your foundation and
That's beautiful.
nonprofit, because
Oh,
I
thank
think what
you.
you're doing is amazing, and you can count me in on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. See how that works? I just love it. Gives me chills.
I
You
know.
guys
She was
made my
supposed to-
day.
Carrie was supposed to come on last month, but her and her family got COVID. So they had to wait until
Uh,
they were healed. And today was her first day she was available again.
See, and I was supposed to be on last month, and I missed
and
it.
you had COVID, you know.
I didn't have COVID,
You
but
had
I
COVID
missed
last
it. I
month,
had it a
okay.
year ago.
See how, and it just worked out like it should have been, you know?
Yeah.
That's just how God works. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I enjoy this show every single time. I
do too.
learn something like from whoever. It's so great. We can't be in person, but this is just almost as like we're there sitting next to each other. And I really appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for inviting me. This
Yeah.
was so fun.
Yes, and
We do it every
you've
week.
got
You
some
come
new,
every week.
some new people to help support what you do. And Brian, I got to get my girl with you because she just is on me about how can I get my parents here. So
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
got you. It's really not that difficult. Lenders
Okay.
the lenders that poke around trying to look for reasons that they shouldn't do the deal are just not understanding guidelines and why they're in place. It's the same thing as a second home. Somebody's buying a vacation home. They can buy more than one vacation home, count it as a second home in the same area. I do a lot of them in Broken Bow. I'm doing 2 and 3 per person. As long as that family spends 2 weeks a year at each of those places, it's a second home. And as long as it's not tied to a long-term lease, what they're doing is they're Airbnb-ing them out.
Right.
And that's short term. That doesn't affect their ability to occupy when they want. And they don't have blackout dates they have to conform to. So Fannie Mae understands that. You just can't count that Airbnb income to offset the payment.
Okay. Got it.
So lot of people have a lot of horrible information that's dictated through these people that are, funding the loans and then selling them off because, they're trying to take all types of buyback risk off their shoulders because they're not as cash flush as one may think. But I deal with largest wholesale lenders in the nation, and we've got solutions.
I knew there was, like I told her, where there's a will, there's a way. We will figure it out.
Somebody out there that will loan you money.
I tell everybody, as long as you are dead honest with me, tell me the truth. Tell me what you're looking to do. Don't try and cover anything up. Tell me the truth and I can tell you the right way to do it.
Yes, that's what we want to know. That's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Y'all have a blessed day.
Yes, you too.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
You
Bye.
too. Send me an email.